Hello, this is Debbie, and this is Light Up Your Words. So excited that you're here today and can't wait for you to join me and my guest of Mary Houlihan and all of the goodness that we've been talking. And then we're like, oh my gosh, we better start recording because there's some goodness coming up. So get comfortable, grab a sheet of paper because there's going to be a lot of note taking on this podcast. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Debbie.
So excited that you're here.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we had just before we hit pause, guys, ladies, gentlemen, we started to talk about the powerfulness of as we invest in ourselves when we have a vision. And we were talking about the vision of what my vision was earlier in a previous conversation that Mary and I had the vision for the podcast. And so she had really ignited some even bigger thoughts that I had within myself. And so before we get into that, Mary, I wanted to have you just do a quick little intro about what you're all about so that people know why this is going to be such a great podcast for us to dive into.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about how to talk about, I'm a transformational life coach, and you've probably heard that a million times. What does it mean though? What does real transformation mean? Because there's a lot of talk in this world about manifesting. There's a lot of talk about manifesting money or a husband or a house or a dream job. And then there's this conversation about transformation. So where do those two things fit in with each other? Well, my belief system is that manifestation is actually the result of transformation. So we can absolutely think about $10,000 every single day until it appears in the three-dimensional world. And that is true, and that actually happens. But if you've manifested $10,000 in the three-dimensional world and you haven't transformed your identity to believe that you're the woman who has $10,000 in her bank account, the money comes in and you're looking over your shoulder waiting for it to leave. You're afraid.
Yes.
Now you're in a state of fear that the money is going to be gone, or where's the next 10 grand going to come from? Well, now I have 10 grand and it's not really enough to sustain. I really need another 10 grand. Well, where's that going to come from? Transformation is the act of building a relationship with the woman in that identity who $10,000 flows into her life with ease. She's not afraid it's going to go. Her nervous system does not go into shock mode when the money comes in. It's ease. It matches her vibration. She has not slammed her thoughts into the wall so many times that the energy finally created $10,000. She's created a relationship with an identity. And now she's transformed into that identity. And it goes way beyond money, but it's an easy one because we talk a lot about it in the manifestation world. I invite you to write a full spectrum vision for your life. Money is a piece. And transformation is becoming the person who that piece feels like a vibrational match to who you are being.
Wow. That's such good stuff. Mary, as you were talking, my brain stuck with the ease part that you had said. You know, the ease of being able to step into that vision, the ease of it. And now you generally hear about when we're talking about manifestation, right? Especially with, say it's the money example, right? The $10,000 example. And This ease is the where we're saying things over and over and over, and I know all of that works as well, but being able to transform where then it's not going to come in, right? We can have it come in, and you hear people talking about they manifested something, but it also goes out quickly.
And there's your body is not physiologically set up to accept it. So we have to decide who we want to be. And when we decide who we want to be via our vision, then we begin to be that person in the world and literally vibrate as that person energetically. And when that happens, things come into our lives that match that identity. And it's not always exact. We live in an infinite world with an infinite number of possibilities. So $10,000 is one thing. Where does it need to go? What would it mean if that money came into your life? How would you spend it? What would it feel like to have that in your bank account and you're going to bed that night and you know that the money is in your bank account? What is the experience that you're really after? Because at the end of the day, it's never about the money. We think it's about the money. Boy, oh boy, do I know this one well. We think it's about the money, and it's never about the money. It's never about the money. It's about our relationship to abundance. And abundance is not money. Abundance is the acknowledgement of how fully sourced and resourced we are by the one energy that we came from, that we were all created from. Some people refer to this energy as God. Some people refer to it as universe, source energy, infinite intelligence. We're all talking about the same thing. But if we've got our thought going on $10,000, what's actually happening is we're seeing our lack of money. We're operating from, I can't see abundance unless I see $10,000 in my bank account. But if we begin to use that vision to see the abundance that exists right here and right now, the fact that you and I have an internet connection, we are speaking to one another on computers that we'd probably both own. And we probably both own these headsets that we're speaking into. And tonight, we know where we're going to sleep. And we probably know where our next meal is going to come from. And I don't say that from the energy of guilt or comparison. I want to be really clear about gratitude. I'm not talking about be grateful because there are starving children. Yes, I understand that. But when we come from gratitude from that place, I believe we are generating gratitude from a place of guilt. I believe that you can literally just be in the gratitude. I've been saying this lately and it's kind of weird, but selfishly. You get to be grateful for all of the things in your life without comparing it to anybody else's life. You don't have to go around comparing what you've got to what somebody else has got in order to feel that gratitude. You literally have the ability to feel it viscerally. And you have so many memories to draw on. You have children, right, Debbie?
Yes, I do. Adult children.
And once they I mean they were little kiddos. And the moment when that little kid holds your hand and you just melt
Yes.
because they're going for your hand. Because you're the one that they want to be held by. That
Oh,
is gratitude.
I just brought up a lot of emotions. I'm not at my own home, this week as we record this, and I'm at my son's grandparents' house. And so there are these beautiful pictures of him up on the walls when he was young. But we stumbled upon a really small photo album, and it's pictures of him when he's small. He's like 5, and he's wearing a suit, and it looks like it's a holiday, right? I think it's like a
Oh,
Thanksgiving,
yeah.
and he is standing in the living room with his grandmother, who has since passed, and the look of love in these pictures, right? Like, so when you said, touching back to that moment of gratitude of growing up, I instantly went to that recent picture, and I had on Facebook because it was it was just so precious. And there's a really close face picture of him that I posted, and his eyes are just so bright and clear, and just joy coming out of him, that I can think of it now, and the gratitude just fills my body, that he's my son.
Yeah.
How blessed has my life been? Oh my gosh, see, so emotional when you really feel into the gratitude of the blessings that we do have, and not the comparison, right? Or the guilt that you're talking about comparing what you have to not have. I had that experience of him and my son. And nothing can ever change the gratitude I feel for him
Yeah.
at any stage, even the tough, challenging times, right? Like, he's an adult, but we survived teenage years. So those people who have teenagers or early 20s, hang on, it gets better. Those little sweet children do come back. Oh my gosh. But the gratitude for those moments, being able to drop into and really savoring the
And when you're
preciousness.
doing that, Debbie, when you're doing that right now, I can tell you're doing it. You are an energetic match to more of that. You are a physiological, energetic match to more of that feeling. And that is literally the feeling of abundance. You just generated it. And you have the ability to do that. Think about this. You have the ability to do that no matter the number in your bank account. Do you know how powerful that is?
That is powerful, because as most adults, I was primarily a single mom, and so the bank account fluctuated pretty dramatically. And yet, my love for him did not change. The good days, the bad days of the bank account, and being able to drop into the choices that had put me in that position, but really having the gratitude for what really was important, which was him.
Yeah.
It's still powerful to this day, even when he, texts me yesterday telling me he loves me. It just can get you right back into that feeling.
Yes. Good. More of that. So if we use our precious attention, it is so precious. Our attention, the images that we accept in our minds that are then going to repeat over and over again in our minds. It is very important to decide what images you are letting in. It's very important, because those are now a part of what's running on a reel in your mind. So when we acknowledge that feeling and take the time to say, that was really awesome when my son texted me today, we're expanding that energy. And it's a more difficult thing to do than we can talk about on a podcast, but we all know this. And I've been using this saying a lot. So, we could we could feel just 100 little butterfly wings all over our skin. Just that soft little butterfly, you can picture it, can't you? Just all those little soft butterfly wings all over your skin. And one bee could come and sting you. And that's what we would remember. And that's what we would think about and talk about and go on Instagram and talk about. And right? I mean,
Right. It'll be
I got
a
stung
real
by
lot
a
of butter.
bee. Should I go to the doctor? What ointment should I use? This hurts really bad. Look at it. Look at this bee sting. Right?
Yes, right? Why?
And that same day, 100 butterfly wings caressed your skin.
Now, why do you think we do that? Do you think
We're
some of it is like
wired for
environmental?
survival. We're wired for survival. We have really old brains. We've got really old brains. And then there's this other thing called your paradigm. So there's a part of you that wants so badly to live your dream. And it wants to expand and grow, and it wants you to experience all of it. And there's another part of you that has a habit for being you. It has a habit for seeing the world through the identity of Debbie, October 15th, 2021. You have an identity. I have an identity. Here's how I talk about it. We just had a presidential election in the United States, and I'm not getting into politics, but this is this is a vivid image that I think everybody can get. The last presidential election, everyone was for President A or President B. Everyone had an opinion. So same people, one wants A to win, one wants B to win. They read the same exact news article. The one who wants President A to win goes through that news article and finds all the evidence that A is the right person. See, there's evidence there. And then the person who wants President B to win has read the exact same news article and found all the evidence that his candidate is correct. See, there's the evidence. It's right there. Right? This is what happens Mm-hmm. We're doing the same thing with our identity all day long.
That's almost like when you start looking at your next vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm looking at vans, right? And I want to become a van lifer and take my podcast on the road, right? And
I love it.
To meet them. And so I am looking at the Ford van, the higher van versus the Mercedes one. So I see them everywhere now.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll see different things about them, like, oh, look, that one has a bit of a different color. Oh, I wonder what that thing is up on their roof, right? I see them everywhere I go down the highway. Every day now, I see them.
That's it.
I never noticed them before.
You are beginning to identify. You're beginning to identify as a woman who drives that van.
Yes, because I'm gonna drive one of those vans and do my podcast in the van, right? Like, you go around and meet all the people that I've been meeting in all these different communities. So yes.
So before the van is even in your life, you're beginning to build an identity with the woman who drives that van. Build a relationship with the identity of the woman who drives that van. And you don't even have the van yet.
No, not yet.
The van isn't here in the three-dimensional world.
Yeah. Right?
That's it's not the power.
Yes, it comes in and I'm able to go off and do that. Yeah. I believe that. I think we've all experienced it too in smaller ways.
Oh, and small and big are words that we attach to experiences and things. Energy is energy, though. I mean, we've probably heard that, to the universe, a penny and $1,000,000 doesn't make a difference. It's all energy. It's not more energy is expended for $1,000,000 than one penny. It's energy. But what our job is, what we are here, why we have an imagination, why we have the ability to begin to identify as a woman who drives around in a van and gets to meet all these cool people and do podcasts on the road, is because you are being invited to know how brilliant you are. And you're being invited to see how supported by the universe you are. And when we go for that dream, when we say, I'm doing this, this is the work, this is the life I'm going to live, this is the identity I'm going to move through the world in, we are shown all of the things that don't match that woman. So this is kind of a weird way to describe it, but I'm going to describe it.
Yeah.
Do you know what those Biore strips are that you put on your nose?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know when you take them off and you can see all the stuff that was in your pores?
Yes.
Because you put the Biore strip on? Your vision is like the Biore strip of your life. It begins to pull up all the things that cannot go with you. All the parts of you that do not match the woman who drives the van and travels around the world podcasting. She's vibrating at a different level than you are vibrating right now.
That's beautiful. So it brings up the stuff for you to take a look at to see how you can increase your vibration in those specific parts of your life. If I got that.
That's it. And almost every single one of us, and this is exactly what I was going to say right before we hit record. I haven't met one person yet who is not being invited to increase your capacity to receive love. To increase your capacity to receive love. That is usually, I think always, what the vision is inviting you to see. Increase your capacity to receive. So what does that look like? Well, it looks different for everybody. For some people, it's, I don't have to do it all on my own, and actually somebody else can come in and help me with tasks. For some people, it's, I need to have a conversation with my partner about finances and actually talk about how we're doing this, like financial, companionship, and actually get really clear about the finances that I'm bringing into the household. And become the person who's really clear about what my contribution is and what I'm saving, and letting somebody else possibly contribute more than you in a moment. That can be evidence that it's time for you to increase your capacity to receive. Sometimes it's receiving things in ways that you haven't traditionally received them. Sometimes it's increasing your capacity to receive gifts. Receive things that you didn't work for.
Yes. So this is curious, right? Because when you're an employee, I think so many people were trained really or grew up in environments where you're going to become an employee. You're going to go out there and you're going to go to school. You're going to go this very traditional, achieve things, get a really great job. And then we're having this really big movement toward people, I want to say rejecting, that's not the word I'm looking for, but they're looking for an alternative way to live, which feels more free to our souls, right? You've given so much, maybe it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 or 40 years into these roles, and you realize that, wow, what can I do in 2 weeks that I get a month? I want to I want to go travel, right? I want to go do things. And of course I'm talking about myself with that part, right? Like I'm ready to go travel, just keep traveling and just across the US, right? And go see things and heal people and meet people. So, but as you make these shifts, you're letting go of something that's so traditional. And if you're moving to an alternative lifestyle, which an alternative lifestyle just could be simply being an entrepreneur of, a soul entrepreneurship, where it's you as a coach, a healer. Maybe you want to do interior design for somebody or just do gig by gig type of work. But there's such a shift to that model, I think, happening right now in our culture. And yet their traditional culture is still very much running how we're doing things. And so as you go to make those shifts and you're looking at where your vision is and where you are and how it's expanding out different areas of your life to take a look at. And yet you can see, like my example, I can see that van. I can see and feel that. I can see that equipment that I'm going to have there, right? And how it's just going to happen in learning to receive in new ways. This is where I was going with this, right? So how, what does that look like? If you're used to receiving, like so many of us, we're used to receiving through an income, a commission,
Earning. Yeah. We believe that so that is such an important part of this work. And this is a very nuanced part of the work, that belief that it has to be earned. That's very push energy. It's very like, go work really hard and then you get to receive it. Once you've really done the work and worked really hard, then you get to receive it. And in fact, if we could let go of that belief system and realize how much is accessible to us without that belief, we could be living a very different reality in a very quick amount of time. But it takes us a lot of us, it takes us a little bit to release that idea that we are allowed to have something without earning it. Earning, whatever that, usually in our society, that means working really hard. We hear it all the time, over and over again. I worked my ass off. I deserve it because I worked so hard. We hear it over and over again. Well, what if it was divinely appointed to you? What if the reason that you would love to drive that van and travel this country and meet all of these people is because that is actually your greatest contribution during your lifetime? It's the way that you are here to contribute. And if it's really something you would love and you could really trust that feeling over the feelings that are so ingrained in us, the work hard, earn everything, suffer until you retire mentality, what if we could really just trust that if it answers the question, what I would love, and that's what I invite you all to answer that question, what would I love? What if we actually believed that that feeling is guiding us to our greatest contribution in our lifetime?
What if? It even begs to answer as, do we even realize how much inside of us to contribute to others? If we're so busy working hard, I'm working hard. I can't tell you how guilty I am of saying that. I think I had a conversation. I know I've had one this week where I used those same words because I have worked so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And we think
It's
a lot of people are out there saying, and I know I've felt this in my lifetime, I've been working so hard and I'm not getting the fulfillment out of the hard work that I expected. I'm not feeling that fulfillment that I anticipated. Why is that? Why is it that I don't feel that click? Like I don't feel like I went to the chiropractor and just got a really good crack. You know? I mean, that's how that's what fulfillment I think would really feel like if I could give it an image. Like, why am I not feeling that? Well, I can tell you why I wasn't feeling it up until this finding this work is that I believe if we are moving around the world believing that outside facts and conditions are going to create fulfillment, there will never be enough outside fact or condition. Meaning there will never be enough money. There will never be a nice enough van. There will never be enough followers on your podcast. There will never be enough downloads. There will never be enough anything because we are relying on the outside world to confirm that we are worthy. If we are looking outside of ourselves and saying, prove my worthiness, prove my place here. I struggled with that for the majority of my career. Prove that I am here for a reason. Prove it. Career, show me. Show me that I am worthy of this existence. I'll do anything. It's not, and I came up empty because that's not where it comes from. It literally comes from dropping. I heard this great meditation from Tosha Silver where she's like, you've got your hands on the wheel and you feel the divine. Put the divine's hands on the wheel. And your hands begin to relax. They don't completely let go of the wheel. Your hands are still there. But they've relaxed because you know something bigger is guiding you. Because you know how safe you are and how held you are by this loving divine energy. And you just sink. You can picture yourself in your car going from just high anxiety driving to just letting yourself sink into your seat and get so loose on the wheel, knowing that somebody else is actually driving. You're doing it together. You haven't totally let go. You're doing it together, but something else is actually driving the car.
and when we relax into our lives and we let divine be part of it, ooh, isn't it amazing what actually comes through? Like you had said earlier, it looks different. It's better. It's always better.
Yeah.
Better than anything I've ever thought about or had imagined myself to be able to do, or experiences that weren't even in my little view here of what I had known about based upon, my environment, the people I had been exposed to at that point. And as my picture got bigger, all these different experiences that I had no idea that people lived that way. Like, I had those experiences, and a lot of it had to do with that, letting go of that divine hold, that strong hold on the wheel. That is a really great meditation.
Perceived control.
Reference. Yeah.
And you were just describing the power of your awareness. We when you think about crabs, having eyes on the sides of their face, like unlike us. So crabs move this way and that way. And as human beings, we're like, oh my gosh, how limiting. We can look that way and up, and we can look all over, and we can move all over. And then you understand that we are really looking just as limited as those crabs are through the power of our awareness. Our awareness is as limited as those crabs if we are only seeing things through the definition of, this is what my dream looks like. This is what success looks like. This is what abundance looks like. This is what a good life looks like. This is the one way. And you know what I usually picture? The holiday photo,
Oh,
the family holiday photo that comes in the mail, and you're like, this is what it looks like. This is the life. This is the one that says, I did it. Look at me. I've made it. And when you don't live that, when that's your definition and you don't live that, I'm saying this from personal experience. When that's your definition and you don't live that, you feel like you have been deprived.
wow, that just really hit me. Right? I used to have that same thing that you're talking about. That's what I wanted. That's what I worked for.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my mid-30s, when I realized that wasn't happening with my partner. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't have that vision. He had some other vision, and that wasn't it. And then now fast forward 20 years later, almost 20 years, I had a weekend away this weekend with my bestie, and she has the postcard.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want initially. She loves her family, right? But
Yeah.
when she was young, she didn't have that vision. I was mine. That wasn't hers.
Yeah.
And yet that life has been very fulfilling for her and her family and her chickens, and yet
Oh.
I'm the one who wanted that, and my life has been completely different than that. Primarily single, traveling, different types of roles that have allowed me to travel, extensive time in Asia, not only finishing my bachelor's on a non-traditional route of graduating at 40 and my master's at 52, I think it was, when I got my
cool.
master's. And just doing it very different. So when I talk about like this van life thing, she's like, oh, that just sounds like you. Yeah. Like, you don't have this traditional view, but yet I had been trying for so many years to fit into this image of what I thought it was. And the freedom that has come over the last multiple years of going, no, you know what, I need to, that's not mine. It's not my purpose. My purpose is actually much bigger. And when you start to realize that and let go of the comparison too of our own worth, and through that journey is why this podcast was birthed, understanding our own light.
Yes.
And that comparison to that Chris Holiday postcard is
And
so
I want to be
powerful.
very clear here. There is nothing, I am not saying that that is a wrong life. That is a beautiful life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that if you are living that life, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that so many people hold that as the gold standard. And if they are not living that, they believe that they are unfulfilled. And what I am communicating is that is not the fulfillment. The fulfillment is your relationship to source. And it will always and forever be that way. Whether you are standing among beautiful Christmas trees with your family or driving down the road in a van about to go interview somebody for your podcast. Or waking up at 3:00 in the morning and feeling gut-wrenching anxiety. Fulfillment is not going to come from the outside. It will never fill you up the way that source can fill you up. It will never feel like the divine has taken the wheel and you can just relax.
Yes. It leads me, Mary, to think about somebody's on their journey. Somebody's on their journey. They're starting to really feel into their purpose, their vision, right? And it's different than what it might be for somebody else. And you're feeling pretty good about where you're going, but then people can pull you back into what they want you to be. Is it guilt? I don't know if the feelings are guilt, or it kind of pulls you back down into, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing whatever this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The XYZ, or you being this coach,
Mm-hmm.
right? This whole vision where you're starting to feel like that really is my fulfillment. That brings me peace. I feel connected with my source, universe, God, whoever, whatever resonates for people. And you start feeling really good about it, but it's still new. When we're trying out these new behaviors, we're getting outside of our own paradigms. And then you're out there, you're still very vulnerable.
Yes.
Still very, very vulnerable.
It's
And
a very vulnerable act to go for your dream. Very.
Yeah.
Very.
And I see that's where the power of the work that you do is
Yes.
holding people in that space as you're like thinking of the turtle, right? Your shell it's still very vulnerable where people can poke at it and you're able to recover, but you shouldn't have to take so long to recover from it, like having the support of what you do. So
the structure of support. Absolutely. I've been with my coach for 4 years for this very reason, that it is very easy to be pulled out of your dream and to be convinced by conventional wisdom and very well-intended people that what you're doing is not the right decision or not a good decision. So, Debbie, you hit the nail right on the head. That is the importance of having a coach. And it's the importance to me of being consistent in that structure of support, which is why I work with clients every single week for a minimum of 6 months. I started out, I used to do 4-week stuff and 3-month stuff. And that's, once in a while I'll still do that. But my intention is to really help you move through a system of transformation that takes time. It takes time. I continue to move through it. It's never going to be over, where it's never going to be finished. But the beautiful thing is that I'm having this conversation with you right now about a dream that's budding inside of you. There's something inside of you that wants to express. It wants to express because it is literally life expressing through you. When you think about nature and things budding and things growing in nature, that's so easy to see that life is expressing through those plants. That's life. We say that, like, you can even picture the little videos of the sprouts coming out through the ground, and we call it life. We call it living. That's a living being. It's sprouting up through the ground, and then it's becoming, a big plant. And we call that a living, breathing plant being. The same is happening for you. And when you have that desire, it is literally life wanting to express through you.
Well, that's what's so powerful about it, is that when we had spoke previously, I shared my vision and I thought I should have recorded all of that, because I was definitely in this zone, right? I don't even remember what I said. I don't even remember. I do know what does come is that the reason why I even selected the words "light up your worth" goes exactly with what you're talking about the light, which I see as our own light inside of each other.
Yeah.
And when Mary shines her light, if you hadn't stepped into your own light through the help of, the coach or other avenues, readings, or workshops, or just that unfulfilled feeling, stepping into your light, me deciding stepping into my light for both of us. Together right now, we are changing the vibration by both shining our own light, which also shows with us owning our own worth.
Yes.
And then it's a journey. It's not, I don't think it's a destination myself.
No.
I think it's continually evolving as we evolve, because every day there's new experiences.
Yeah.
And by somebody even simply listening to this and bringing that vibration into their own life will help them either continue to shine their light or see that they have a light within themselves.
Yeah.
And being able to spread that vision as this ripple effect across
Yeah.
how many millions of people
Yes.
to believe in themselves.
Yes.
And what happens when we get goosebumps,
Yeah.
when we believe in ourselves, how the life responds to us.
Yes.
I
And what we're
remember
really believing in that moment is not ourselves, it's the power within us. It's the greater power. The thing about confidence and power and really believing in ourselves, when we distill it down to the personality, we have lost the greatest connection that we have. We can't really ever lose it, but we aren't acknowledging the greatest connection that we have, which is the connection to source. You are source. You can take a little dropper of the ocean, and in that little dropper is every chemical compound in that ocean, in that dropper. And that's you. And the ocean is source energy. So you are a little drop of source energy, and so am I. So we all came from it. There isn't a person on the planet who did not come from that energy. In fact, there isn't a thing on the planet that didn't come from that energy. Nothing is outside of it. Everything came from it. Which goes into a whole other topic of when tough things happen, when unpreferred events happen, and we think, why isn't God helping me? And we think, why did God do this to me? I hear that a lot. Why isn't God answering my prayer? That we can actually, in those moments, say, actually, what is God inviting me to see?
what is God inviting me to see?
And we can ask God, what are you inviting me to see? What are you inviting me to know right now?
It's powerful to sit and just asking for the energy that we're in right now that's going on between us talking. I'm sure most people got an image of something or sensed something, or
Mhm.
they saw an old picture, or they heard something on the radio, and really being able to trust that those are the messages.
That's it.
I had the strangest thing come into my mind when you said that. I saw a picture of my middle school math teacher, Miss Page. And what's so strange about it is my parents were going through a divorce, and I was really good at math. And I really liked this teacher,
Oh,
Miss Page,
wow. Yeah.
and she believed in me.
Yeah.
I remember thinking I didn't want to be that smart, right? I wanted to be more popular. I didn't want to be the smart girls. And so I would hang out with her a lot and just talk about I don't even remember what we talked about. Probably just life, right? Like the life of a seventh grade girl. What is it composed of, right? And she was
Oh,
my algebra teacher, right? So,
yeah.
you know, so it's amazing though that she had that impact of how many years later?
Yeah.
45 years, 40 something odd years later, that as you were talking about vibration and shining our own light, that without her even knowing it, by simply her doing what she loved to do and shining her light in that way, is that she made such an impact that she can come to my a message in me of somebody believing in herself,
Yeah.
believe in yourself, right? Is how when we're not looking like your crab example, we're not looking this way. What is
Hmm.
God inviting me to see? What
Hmm.
perspective, you
Right
know,
here.
right here. And
Yeah.
simply by shifting, 2 degrees and looking at something differently, what we're able to discover.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do Mary, what is a tip that somebody, if maybe that they haven't shifted a perspective, maybe they're like, what what if I don't see it? What if I can't see it? Even though it's there, right? Whether it's how can I get out of the rut of not feeling the gratitude? What if I don't see that? I think there's a lot of anxiousness right now where some people are in less preferred circumstances, or maybe they're depressed, and they're listening because they've heard all these women overcome their own struggles, and now they're listening to us talking, and they're like, yeah, like what's something that they could just something simple, uh, that
Well, they can
they could
they can
perhaps
have
start with.
a 1 hour conversation with me. I mean, and I'm telling you, no attachment to outcome. So a lot of people, I think, hesitate for signing up for 1 hour phone calls, Zoom calls with coaches because they're afraid of being sold to. I think it's amazing to me how many people have access to my link and that more people don't just have a conversation with me. I have no attachment to what happens at the end. I will absolutely tell you how I work and how you can work with me if that feels like a good fit. But if you want to talk to me about getting an outside perspective on something that feels really hard right now, I would love to do that. It is my life's work to help you see out of the frame of your own mind. It's the reason that I stay in my own structure of support with my coach because we can't do it on our own. And by God, we got to stop trying. I I know amazing people who read all the books and they listen to all the podcasts and all the audios and they just keep trying to do it on their own. And it's really frustrating when they can't see out of their own thinking because you can't read the instructions from inside the box. You just can't. You can't access what it doesn't mean that I'm smarter or more intuitive or have some ability that you don't have. It means that I have a trained ear and I've been doing this work for a really long time now on myself, with myself, which is why I can do it for others. So the first thing that I would recommend for you to do is to sign up for a call with me. And and don't worry about what might happen as a result of the call. Allow yourself to receive.
That's super, super powerful, Mary, because I know for myself, just kind of agreeing with what you have to say is that I'm that person too. I've read and read and read and listened
Mhm.
and
I was that person.
YouTubed, right? And then
Mhm.
I started to really invest in, I would call more programs, coaches.
Mhm.
And in those processes, the paradigm shifts, the exponential growth, way beyond anything I could have ever experienced on my own.
Yep.
And there's a lot of like really like free resources, right? Like, oh, this, do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are all given with the thought process of serving, right? Like, you're
Oh,
here to serve,
100%.
I'm here to serve. So the intentions are beautiful, but the big shifts, exponential shifts in our lives happen. There's something about that energetic exchange, about signing up with somebody, whoever that person is, whether it's you, Mary, or
Mm-hmm.
um, somebody else, but whoever it is that resonates, get the word right, resonates with us and then takes us to not only that next level, that next paradigm shift, but the next and the next. And I think that's why when you go through coaching programs, where they tell you you should always have a coach. And anybody who is a coach should always have a coach,
Mm-hmm.
or healer, or somebody who's taken them to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really important for me to stay in integrity with that. And I know that it's the way that I serve in the highest is that I stay in my own structure of support. And I do live. I'm not a big believer in these pre-recorded series courses, which I know, I mean, it's all great. This is the thing. It's none of it is wrong or bad. It's all good. All the books, all the podcasts, all the audios, it's all wonderful. But if you feel that place in you, it's like, why can't I understand how to just keep applying it to my life? Why don't I feel that alignment, that click? It's time. It's time to take it to a coach. That's where I was in my life. I mean, I was like, why can't I freaking get this? Why can't I use the power of my thinking to just live the life that I want to live? Why isn't it as easy as Abraham Hicks says it is? And I love Abraham Hicks, but I never would have gotten the value from Abraham Hicks if I weren't working with my coach. Because when I read it back then, it was self-blame that it wasn't working. It was metaphysical malpractice. I must be doing it wrong. And I think a lot of people are out there trying to apply this stuff, judging and criticizing themselves for not creating the results as fast as they think they should. And they think I'm not doing it right. I'm not working hard enough. Here we go back to
Well,
that. I'm not working hard enough on my manifestation skills. It's got to be that. I've got to
oh,
work harder.
yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. You know, Mary, before this morning, I went outside. I'm in Northern California right now, and I went outside because it's like 70 degrees. And I just simply sat outside and had a conversation and enjoyed where I'm at. We just had a conversation. My dog's there. We got this huge, gorgeous view over the valley. The sky is blue. There's just enough of a breeze, right? The deer had been up, and just simply enjoying the company and just feeling so grateful that I had that opportunity to do that this morning instead of coming in and rush, rush, rush. I got, a lot of stuff on my list to get done today. And I thought, no, I'm actually going to take this morning and just be, because
Congratulations.
I don't know how many more mornings I will have with this person,
That's right.
this beautiful woman who has influenced my life.
That's right. And we don't know how long we are here.
Right?
None of us do.
No, no, it's I don't know where our culture is grown to, Mary, to this level of busyness that we have. And I think it became really apparent for people last year of what they were spending their time on. And I know from the spiritual perspective, we call it, there's been a huge spiritual awakening in this 3D world, right, where people are curious and and they they're experiencing that unfulfillment, or they're just simply questioning where they spent their money or their time, or maybe they just fell into some dark place, right? And realizing that sometimes that's actually well, it is part of the process, but for a lot of us. And where we've come to this point where being busy is like an award.
Oh yeah, we wear it like a badge of honor. Yes, we do.
And sometimes we don't. People might want the change, but then they realize that they actually have to pause and look at themselves and
Yeah.
the life that they are having. And why
Who do
aren't they
you
fulfilled?
believe? What do you believe about yourself when you're not busy?
What do you believe about yourself when you're not busy? Is that a question? Now, people are gonna have to pause that when they're driving and listening to this, right? Because they're multitasking and they're listening to the podcast. That's kind of the good thing about podcasts, right? How you can fit them in, but what are you doing when you're not so busy? Sometimes we don't want to see or feel what that feeling is, right? Just I'm going to go do something else, or I'm going to go change jobs, or
what am I going to make for dinner, and do I have all the ingredients, or I mean, whatever the thing is, it's so much easier than just to be with yourself.
Yeah, right. Have you ever heard the expression, like when your people are dissatisfied with any part of their life? I think I heard it with, like, if you're looking for a job, when you start thinking about your job, but are you running from, or are you going to something?
Yeah.
Expecting this next thing to be any different. Right?
And that's a big part of, and I know we're just about to wrap up here, but that's a really big part of working with a coach on your vision and not just going at it on your own. Because we can look at the vision like, once I begin to live that life, ooh, that's going to be so great. And then we go back to our life and we're like, oh, I don't want to live this life. I want to live that vision life. What's going on? But the vision is not the invitation to see that anything is wrong. It's actually the invitation to see where that is already showing up. So if the vision is an oak tree, it's inviting you to see all of the little sprouts right now. It's not inviting you to fix anything or shed light on what is not. It's there to show you what is. This is another misuse of this work. In the self-development world, it's become just another thing to achieve. Be the best you. And it's all so well intended. And I am not disrespecting anybody. This is not my intention. My intention is to tell you that we can bring those working hard habits over into self-development, and we can make it mean another achievement. This is another reason that working with a coach is so, in my opinion, vital to taking away that striving, that needing to be the oak tree right now, or else I must be doing it wrong.
Oh, such powerful words. I think we've given, or you have given, really a lot of really useful questions for people to ask, to reflect upon. And so, Mary, how can somebody reach you?
Yeah, well, please, you can find me on Instagram, Mary L. Houlihan. I have a Calendly link where you can sign up for a call with me, a link in my bio. Mary L. Houlihan Life Coaching on Facebook. And feel free to email me. It's just mary.houlihan@gmail.com. I would love to serve you. So, and if you're feeling resonance with what I'm saying, and you want to have a conversation, just do it. Let yourself receive it.
I hope somebody does receive it because it's powerful. It's very, very powerful. I just found myself like they'll see it on the YouTube probably more than on the podcast, obviously, but where I'm just so leaning into our conversation um, that there's just so much juiciness, so much nuggets for people to go. And I do hope that they will start taking a look that there are paradigms all around us, and the structure of a coach is super powerful. So thank you, Mary, for joining me today. I'm so blessed
Thank you, Debbie.
that
I really love
you're
talking to
here.
you.
Yeah, this is just such a wonderful place. And so thank you, everybody, for being here.